Bloodlines. I'm Dan Lutz, and I'm here with my co-host, Tank.
Hey, how you doing? I'm here.
You missed your cue. All right, stepping on each other again. It's all right. And we're here on the front lines.
Here on the front lines. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So, how are you doing today, Tank? Any sirens playing in the background?
No, I'm out, hiding out different places at the moment. So,
oh, you're always good when I'm. Oh, you're playing games, cat and mouse.
Yeah, it'll take a while to catch up where I am. Once we go live, we'll try to figure it out.
Darn, he's moved again.
Yeah, they've been following me around all day, so it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
It's I was reading. There was this document that came out talking about how to identify an Illuminati cell, right? Like where you have a nest for the Illuminati.
It's because of all the bright light. Archdiocese. I thought it's all the bright light coming from their heads. They're illuminated.
Well, no, there's the Archdiocese is here, right in the town next to me, and then there's a fire station, it's right around the corner from there, a police station, right around the corner from there, and then there's a hospital. These are all places where they would come out at. Then there's a waterway, right? So that's where they would, I guess, dump bodies, and all these, every single one of the pieces are all within, like a mile of where I am. So, it makes sense because the police are very, obviously all over me. It's kind of like, well, who do you call if things go down, right? But anyways,
the Archdiocese, so that's the first.
I'm very aware of that. Yeah. So yeah, man. There's a lot of stuff going on, and I'm pretty excited about it. I feel like everything's coming together. From what I understand, tomorrow is supposed to be the big Galactic Declaration of Independence Day, or I guess here's today, the 21st. So I'm hoping that means that we get to move too.
Right. I hope so too. So tell me about this. You're mentioning the Intergalactic Peace Treaty starting on today. Well, I'm on the 21st for me.
Yeah, so I think there's. I think a peace treaty was already signed about a month ago, but a new peace treaty. There was a peace treaty that Kim had sent out, with the tribes and the Galactics, right? But I guess there was all types of, disagreements that were taking place, kind of in the inner Earth, and now they've all agreed to help each other and work together. And from what I understand, this harvest moon, like last weekend, right, was the harvest moon. That's usually the date of their big dish to pass for the Cabal, right? And so they usually have very specific plans, and they come together and they talk about how successful they are and how wonderful they are and how great they're doing and taking over the world and what their next step is. But this year, when they were waiting for their instructions, the instructions came through that said, stand down. The plan to destroy the planet is no longer in play, and you have got to come up with a new plan. So,
oh, darn. I really wanted that first plan to go forward.
Yeah, right. So basically, it's basically kind of where we're at. So, it's funny because you're really seeing it. You're seeing things kind of break apart, right? You got to think of all the people that are left on the lurch about this, right? People that thought they made this, they're like, hey, I sold my soul. What do I do now? So,
it's the lining up of the different countries behind Trump. I found out something. Remember, I was telling you about. I felt that there was some treaty that was signed between the Queen and Trump, right?
Yeah.
And there was all this, pomp and circumstance, all this, ceremony huge dinners and all of this kind of stuff that was like so over the top. That never happened with any other presidents, and it didn't happen on his previous trips there either. I mean, they had some ceremonial things, but what they were going on here, this is like a celebration. And then he signed something and on the camera there, but then no one said anything about what it was. And I was always saying, so what is that? What was that? And so I was talking with my friend in England, and he says that whatever that was, it was all thrown together in the last minute. That's what was so unusual about it. They said, this doesn't happen. They said that it was all thrown together in a hurry. So that's interesting. So I knew that there was something up with that, because I just saw when Trump made this round, I mean, he went to Japan, and then he met with the new emperor, met with Abe, the prime minister, and then he left and came to England directly. And then there's all the ceremony, and they signed something.
Right.
Anyway, so he said he's going to try and see what that was that he signed.
Good luck, buddy. One of the things that I think is fascinating, right? If you consider, how do you unravel thousands and thousands of years of, absolute domination, right? So, if you think about it, the one thing that they cannot plan for, now the cabal, there is no question, right? They follow orders, right? We always thought they were master planners, but their real master planners are gone, right? And something very interesting too is that when Nelson Mandela died, they showed Barack Obama on camera, and they actually said this live that everyone was waiting for Marduk, which I thought was fascinating. I didn't know. I had heard that from Chile, but I didn't realize it was actually public like that, right?
I didn't.
So they were actually, yeah. So there's some acknowledgement there of the reality of what we're talking about, right? And but he was the master planner, right? He was masterful in the art of war, as I guess Draconians are, right? The Sun Tzu art of war, and so he had all these incredible plans, and everything they did was from an intellectual standpoint, right? So they always kind of exist on these, what would appear to be these higher intellectual planes, but in reality, it's easy to see like you exist on a higher intellectual plane if you are in control of a lot of stuff and keeping everyone ignorant, right? So, but what's so fascinating to me, right, is the one thing that you can't plan for is free will. So, and in the art of creation, right, versus, which I would say humans should be, or something that we're all looking for with self-mastery, is the ability to create, right?
Yeah.
And now, if we're really looking to, exemplify the ability to create, right? And you're up against the master of destruction, right? I mean, they're masterful at destroying things. So we should be masterful at creating things, right? So in the destruction of things, right? The tear down, the build up, the tear down, the build up, right? That way you maintain status quo under all circumstances. You never make any real progress, because every time you build something up, you tear it down, right? You cause war, you tear it to pieces. So that's what they've done. But when it comes to free will, the essence of creation is that all of your power is in this current moment, right? The only time anything has ever happened is right now. Now is not an absolute, like this moment. It is the moment that you are currently existing in, is where all of your power is, where you can make a decision, where you can change what's happening, because this is it. So you can change the way you feel right now, and that can completely change what happens, in the next moment, whatever else.
Right.
So something like that makes sense to me, what you described, right? It wasn't that there wasn't a potential plan there, right? But it was the free will of whatever party's involved to bring it forth in that moment. In that moment, now you couldn't plan for that. Like who knew he was going to whip out a contract for signing, whatever it said, maybe it was, hey, by the way, I brought with me the sovereignty contract. Would you mind signing that so you can acknowledge?
Yeah, something like that. But I think exactly what it was. I don't know if it was Kim's sovereignty or it was something to do with completing the debt from the Virginia Company from the 1600 charter. Or the after the Revolutionary War, and then we had to pay some reparations in what was it called, lira, right? 200,000 lira. And that never got paid, or whatever it was about restoring freedom, and really having the true separation from England. I think is what it was. I don't know what the document was, but I think it had to do with that because that's what made as a piece of the puzzle of what's going on. If you're lining up things and you're bringing people on side against the worldwide cabal, and this is a worldwide effort. And you got and Trump is gathering people either because they're willing to, or he's forcing them to leave the side of the cabal. For example, like Trudeau, I think that he got him to reluctantly come on board. But look what happened to Trudeau. Now he's got blackface pictures. So this seem like blackmail material that has come out. Right? It's like this is something, right, that he would have been blackmailed on all this time, and so now it's okay. Well, you're on the wrong side. Here comes a blackmail material. So now what's he doing? He's I'm a victim of privilege, whatever.
Victim of privilege. I'm the victim of being awesome. It's just hard.
I know it's so difficult.
Don't know what it's like to be better than everyone else. It's funny.
So, but he's got Trudeau. He's now got Macron in France. Forced something on there. So that's what I'm looking for. Like there to be some signs in France, policy changes, something like that really just show that they've shifted sides. So it may happen, right? But where we'll see these things. So it does appear, we've got these sides being drawn and people on different sides. Who's on what side? We'll know. As we watch the show, right?
Well, I loved hearing, Kim on this call was on with her. With somebody, right? And she was talking about, how these guys they all kowtow and they bow down to whoever is best, right? In the art of war, right? Who's the best one? And they all worship. I mean, worship as a god.
Well, they're going to be worshiping Trump then, right?
Well, no. I know. Look, with all due respect to Trump, Trump has no power if Kim isn't doing what she's doing. Everything taking place here is still reliant on money, right? So even when Q says we have control of the purse, well, no, not if Kim's out there, you don't. So it's and Kim made a point though, right? Because the top people in the world, the most feared and revered group, worshipped as gods. Kim was like, she said on the call, it was funny. It was very matter of fact. It wasn't arrogant. It was just matter of fact. She was just talking about the art of war, and she said, I'm better at it. She goes, and matter of fact, she said, I'm the best at it. She goes, the proof is, she goes, I'm the only one standing. They're gone.
Yeah.
16,500 years they reigned, right? At least that we know of. Right?
And then a woman comes along?
And she comes along and takes them out in 2 years. And now, 7 years later, she's made more progress for the entire species of humanity, right, than what has been made the past 16,000 years prior. So, it's, the fix is in,
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's interesting. She's the winner, right? After going through everything, and it comes down to it, she's the winner. Now, I was just I was telling you about this. I think it was his name, David Clark, something like that, who was going through the Anunnaki history and how their internal family feuds were playing out. But there was definitely a transition of power that's scheduled to actually happen, literally scheduled by astrology, because they scheduled these things by astrology. You know, their reigns were counted in shards. You know, the time it took Nebru to go around the sun, 3,600 years. So all of these things would come into play. So I'm just wondering if this is, you know, is Kim part of that? You know, whether it's just an energetic shift that they know happens and they don't know the individual, or it's because of, you know, that planning of the mitochondrial DNA of Eve is to resurface at this time because it was basically placed there by Enki, you know, and time to trigger. All right, now here comes Kim. I'm just trying to see, you know, does something like that, is that part of this, or if this is, you know, out of not left field.
Well, yeah, I mean,
right
so you got to think, you have the Mayan calendar, right, went to 2012, right? That was the end of the world.
Right.
2012 was the end of the world. That's when the calendar laid out. Well, 2012 was the end of the old world, right? And that's where you have humanity taking back control of the planet. But everything that was known up to that point, all the patterns of repetition, you know, the exact same death, burial, resurrection, ascension pattern, the blood, water, spirit, 40 pattern, that is repeated over and over and over and over and over and over again as a spell that is so dominant in everything that it's had the ability to affect exactly what we create, right? I mean, you have a woman when she gives birth, right? She'll have a show of blood, then the water will break, then the baby will take in the breath of the womb, right? Which is 40 times stronger than the baby's in the womb for 40 weeks, right? So you have blood, water, spirit, 40. They repeated this pattern in the wilderness of Sinai, right? It's a repetitive pattern, constantly reintroducing the same principles, the same over and over and over and over again. So to break that, now, you know, that put us in kind of this perpetual time loop, right? That we, you know, it reflects in everything we do, limits us to what we expect, what we think is possible. You know, all science becomes, you know, fact-based, evidence-based. You know, people don't believe anything if someone else hasn't already done it, and we can't prove it. Right. So you basically limit everything humanity is to what has already been done that we know of. I mean, so let's say that everything's been done somewhere, but if we don't know about it, doesn't mean it's not real or doesn't exist, right? You just might not know. And I think that in 2012, that was the beginning of a transition. Now you have 7-year cycles that generally happen, right? So Kim's birthday is September 28th, okay? So that means, 2019, that means we're coming up on her 7-year anniversary of holding this position, right? So, you know, everything kind of goes by these 7-year cycles, right? Because 490-year cycles, which is really, you know, 70 or 7 times 70, right? You have like all different ways of looking at it. So now Kim never being bound by these things. I would often ask Kim, like, do these things matter? Does this matter? She's like, no, it doesn't matter. But there is something to it in the sense that it seems that these things just coincide, right? It's a you know, at the time. It's kind of like our astrology. Some certain qualities that are going to be available to us based on our astrology, right? Like the time of day that we were born, that we gave ourselves certain attributes in choosing to be born in that time. You know, the year, the day, the hour, right? The alignment with the star, you know, imbued us with, you know, certain energy so that we can play a part that we're going to play. And, like, it's planned out from that standpoint. And I believe that. But we still have free will, right? So I think this whole transition has been taking place.
Hello? Hello. 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 You're on mute.
Sorry. Here. So let me throw this at you, Dan.
Yeah.
So, what if, when you think about, now Enki, right, was a geneticist, right? And he was also like the offspring of Anu and some other woman, right? Or some other entity, right?
Right.
So he was not like a pure blood Anunnaki, I guess, right? And that's Enki. And then you have Enlil, which at this point,
No, I thought Enki is a full blood. It's just it just had to deal with the line of succession because his mother was the half sister of his father, and that's
what?
But go ahead.
What I've been told is that he represents kind of a half breed type of, not half breed, but he's not from that. Maybe he's not the lineage, but there's something else.
He's the son, but because his brother, that's what it was. His brother was more in line because the brother of his father. I'm sorry, the mother of the father's sister. Basically, father's half sister mated and then made a new heir, and that wasn't Enki. Enki was in line, but then he was removed from that position because his brother now had more of the royal blood because it was a half sister that was of his father, right? So,
well,
they have the same father.
I don't know. That's here's the way I see it, right?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So Enlil, it's like you have Anu and his wife, whatever that is, right? Anu and the queen.
Right.
And Enlil is the offspring of that. And then you have Anu, cheating on his wife, let's say, with some other being, whoever that is, and that's Enki, right? They're both the offspring of Anu, but not both the king and queens.
Right. Well, but
so
Enki was to be the descendant. That's why he got mad and left, right? And he took off to Earth, right, to come up and say he's going to have the solution now, right? Because they need gold and they can't get through the broken bracelet or whatever the broken bracelet, that asteroid belt. But he found a way through by using nuclear warheads to blow up big holes in it so he could slip through. Got to Earth, found the gold, and basically came back and said, "Hey, now I found the gold. It's here." And so they made him Lord of the Earth, right? Right. But he always had this need to want to be, the one, the king of his own domain. And you get, so some of that, devil, being cast out of heaven kind of thing, right? Because he left. But anyway, that's all right. A bit of history.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. So
yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
and I don't know, that kind of history is always what irritates me with all this stuff, right? Because it's like, okay, well, which path is it? So I'm just gonna tell you my own experience with it.
Okay, go ahead.
Because my understanding is this. Now, when you talk about that, just consider the possibility of this, right? So you have Eden. Now, Eden, consider this as a fourth dimensional realm where you have the various versions of the gods, what we see the gods, the Elohim, right? But it's not Elohim, Elohim just means gods, right? So you have this group there. So you have archangels, right? You have the Anunnaki and all these fourth dimensional beings, right? They're having a great time, and they're creating the Adamites, which are like basically, they can't reproduce. They're basically just these men that are slaves. They're all men, right? And they're creating them, and they're relatively simple, let's say, right? So Enki, as a solution, right? He goes to the earth itself, right? The earth being its own entity, more powerful, really, than them. So he goes to the substance of the earth, right? It says that from the dust of the earth, Adam breathed in the breath of life. Well, I believe that Adam was Enki, right? So it doesn't say that he blew the breath of life. He breathed it in. So in other words, Enki just came down into shape and form, into a third-dimensional shape and form as Adam. So then he takes from his own self, right, the womb and the rib to create the woman. Right? So the woman ends up being the first third-dimensional creation. Because now you have proof of this because Adam, right, you could tell that Adam was Enki because Enki was a geneticist, right? So he was making slaves. So what does he do? It says in the scriptures that Adam, he named all the animals of the earth. Now, what it means is that he defined what their character and their attributes would be. Now, how did he do that? Because he was a geneticist. So he defined what they would be by playing with genetics and making these animals, right? And he made all these different animals. So then Eve, he makes this beautiful creature in Eve, and she's perfect in every way. And then he gives her the spark of the divine spark. And he does this because they wanted a slave that they could reproduce with, right?
Right.
That they could reproduce. That would reproduce automatically. And just make more. So he couldn't figure out how to do it, so he gives her the divine spark. Then he falls in love with her, right? And then she goes out, and, it says the serpent beguiled Eve. Well, it says the serpent, but you can really see how that was just referring to some, lizard version of some creature, right? One of these, and I think that was Marduk. And I think what happened was, she went out, Marduk, hooked up with her, right? He got her pregnant, or raped her, or whatever, right?
Right.
And so now he gets her pregnant, but Adam still loved her, right? Or Enki still loved her. So they leave the Garden of Eden and they come down to the earth, and the full third-dimensional reality of the earth, right? So now, he submits himself to this life here on the planet with Eve. And the Bible says this. It says, the woman bore a son, right? That's Cain. Now, Cain is the offspring of Marduk and Eve. And then the next thing it says is that Cain bore the man a son. And that offspring is Abel, and that was the offspring of Adam and Eve. It was Abel, right? So now you have two different bloodlines that are created right from the very beginning, right? And then the Canaanites go off, and they end up being, cannibals. And then you have the whole idea of these 5 original tribes that are all connected back to Eve. Well, how are they connected back to Eve? Well, they're the offspring of Eve, right? So she goes on to have other sons. And these create the 5 original tribes. And I think that's been the ongoing war, right? So then you have, what Lucifer is, what we call Lucifer, and I mean, lots of people have different ideas about this, but what I believe Lucifer is Marduk, right? And so Marduk was constantly scooping in and taking credit for stuff that was the other bloodline, right? And all throughout history, we know there's, they whitewashed Egypt and they changed the statues and they would go in right after something happened and they would take credit for it, right? Mm-hmm. It's how they created religions and everything else. So it's been this long-term agreement, this war that's gone on between Enki and Enlil.
Right.
And now this is some fun facts that people probably don't know. So now, bring that current, right? So Kim is the mitochondrial Eve, right? She's bioidentical, 99.8% bioidentical to the original Eve, right? So if I'm right, and he was, bred with Anu and someone else, then you have one line that represents, what was described to me as like a half-breed line, right? So this breed that comes from Adam and Eve that is whatever, it's whatever Anu is, like Anunnaki, and then whoever he was with, this other woman, this other being, right? Then Eve is made directly of that. So you have that bloodline, but then you have Cain. Cain is, the offspring, right? He had the royal bloodline from Anu and his mother, right? So that's why they're always focused on the bloodline, because it's trying to keep the Canaanite bloodline alive. And then from there, this plays out now currently when Kim was first introduced, right, to this role she was going to play. Now, she has genetic memories, and she would have like genetic flashbacks of different lives and things like that from time to time. But when it was introduced to her, it's Marduk, right? He is her mentor. So for 2 years, he's schooling her on things, right? So, from what I understand, some of it very, abusive in many ways, right? But she's learning the whole time. And at one point, the option was on the table that they were going to get married, right? Not that Kim was dating him or something, but it was just almost like this is what's best for humanity kind of thing. So, obviously it never took place, and Kim was never romantically involved with him or anything. But she didn't know who he was yet, right? Those first 2 years, I think. And then he tried to take everything, all the assets, out of the quantum system and put them into the Babylon system. And when Kim saw that, she realized, they're all lying. And then I think it was Shane, but I'm not sure. We told her that she she did not need them to access the trust. And up to that point, what she thought was they were her boss, all these different people. But it makes sense though, right? That Marduk, after all of a sudden, it was the same Marduk back there with Adam and Eve, and now he sees her again, and he's trying to put on the table hey, let's get married. That's the best for humanity, right? And so it's just fascinating. The whole thing to me is fascinating because this isn't ancient history only. This is current.
Right.
This is happening in our lifetime.
Yeah, that's the fascinating thing, is that this is something that is really happening now. Even though, as I said, this I think his name's David Clark. He's saying that going through all this, he said, well, this is still the case. They're still ruling. Now he doesn't know this part with Kim and that, but it's kind of interesting. We should really contact them though, David Clark, and really just say, well, would you like to know the next part of the story, what's been going on? You're missing the last few years of your research.
Yeah, right.
And I'm sure it'd be good to kind of see where that fits, because he's paced all these things together, who would all the other gods, right? And they were all the same people, or individuals, Anunnaki, right? And they're being able to move their consciousness into different avatars, right? And just this role, which is kind of like the same technologies that everything that's coming up right now, right? We're all talking about, uploading your consciousness into another. We got the movie Avatar. So it's all preparatory to say, yeah, this is the direction, right? And so they're already doing that. But I'm just wondering, as a being themselves, the Anunnaki, that they're so warlike and so, let's just say without heart. I mean, if that's really the case, or if that's just part of their conditioning of their head slaves to be without heart, which might be more the case. But I'm just wondering if they're doing this uploading of consciousness, kind of like the Cylons did in Battlestar Galactica, right? And they literally become heartless and more machine-like, because they've kind of detached from the biological, at least
well, I think this goes back to the DNA, right? So if we have 12 to 144 strands of DNA, and you take a consciousness, right? Now, I talked to this guy who was working with this, I don't know, they told him he's the new M1, and he's working with this guy Adrian, who's I think he's in the Saturn Matrix, right, which is like another powerful AI, right? That they tried to launch like 6 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
And it was up for like 2 weeks and was taken down. But in this, he was saying how Adrian knows everything, right? He's able to, he's like the equivalent to God, or what people would think is God, right? And he was just a person that had this ability and genetic makeup, right? But he talked about a place, right, in the Saturn Matrix where it was kind of, or at least it presented itself as a utopia, right, like a heaven. And but it was a soul trap. And what they would do is they would suck out the cabal souls, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they wanted to, when they wanted to leave, and they would put them in this soul trap, right? So they would be there, and in this place, they could do whatever they wanted, but all they had was their experiences from this life to draw on. So they basically existed in this, alternative state without a body, but like with all the, if they were into, whatever hedonistic pleasure, they could have that ad nauseum, right? But they would get bored with it.
Right.
And then because they lacked the ability to create, right, because they took that part of themselves that was conscious, they didn't realize that they were moved as conscious slaves, right? And because they were more advanced slaves, in a sense, than us, right? When we're being manipulated, go to soul traffic, go right back in the body, go right back to work, and they got to go to this place where they got to work out all their hedonism. And, if they were into raping little kids, they would have that unlimited, right? So, so he described that to me, right? Now, I also heard this described that you would have, if you go to Shane Miller's blog, which I recommend to anybody you should read, but he talks about how there's these cities they have that are built underground, and how, when they wanted to test something out to see how it would play out, like they had a city that they threw Shane in with his regular body, right? And they tested out the zombie apocalypse, right? So now Shane is in this city, and there's zombies everywhere, right? This underground city. And he's like, you'd never know you were in a city like that. It just seemed like it was a regular city, right? It was so big. But he said now they would do this with other people too. But what they would do with them is they would take their soul out of their regular body, and they would put it into a clone's body. So now they go in there to, experience the zombie apocalypse and whatever they wanted to experience, right? Like a simulation. And if their body gets killed, it doesn't matter because they'll just suck the soul out and put it right back in their original body. So I know that tech is there. My point in saying all that, and that was something that would be done, right? To like cut the silver cord that connects you to your body, I guess, that you could do with your human biological technology, so to speak. But now they actually have a tech, actual tech device that does that. Mm-hmm. So, I think that's how they. I don't know if the actual soul of Hillary Clinton is still in the current clone or not, or where she is. Who knows? She could be I guess she could get in anybody's body for all I know, But I think that's what makes it a little bit hard to catch, right? Because you're taking all that evil and putting it in different places.
Oh. So kind of it's like moving the consciousness around from body to body. So if the Saturn, which I think was Anu's possession, right? If they made that,
yeah, I think so.
If that was, and they all entered like deeds, right? Just like on Jupiter ascending, right? They like who's got the paperwork.
Right. Yeah.
This is this same thing of proof of ownership.
Well, yeah, that's why you always have to get to the master deed, right? Because at the end of the day, it's like if you're a slave, you have rights, right? This is part of the reason why they never honor their contracts with us, because we have no rights. We're beneath them. It's right in their world, let's say.
Right.
So they never abide by any contracts because they think, they're the bloodline of Cain, right? They're the bloodline of Enlil. And we're the, forgotten bastard son of Enki or something. I don't know.
Something like that.
Effect, right?
Something like that, yeah. And then they make.
So I think the big move, right? Because when this was first going down for Kim, she went down to Atlantis, and there's like I don't know what it is. She described it like an elevator, right? It kind of just launched you to other places, right? So she went to what she called the terra firma, which is another identical planet to what the Earth is, right? But it's unadulterated by humans. And they basically gave me the option, like, you could come here, and you have to, I guess, like the 0.2% she's missing in her DNA to identify that person. And she's like, and you could, mate with this person and start a brand new world, right? In this beautiful place that's completely unadulterated, fantastic, whatever. And, she said no, right? She chose humanity and said, no, you did all this damage, you're not just going to destroy them. You have to fix it, right? Now, but I'm saying that decision was almost solely in her hands, right? That that all of us owe her a debt that she made that decision, because obviously and very clearly to anyone paying attention, we were on a catastrophic course. So, and that includes all of the cabal and all of the minions that think that they were going to survive, because they weren't going to survive, right?
Right.
Because it wasn't like she was going to this terra firma to start a brand new Earth, right? And while this one was still going on, this one would have been destroyed, right? All the assets would have been, ripped from it to fuel whatever they were doing.
Right.
And this is the MO of the Draconians and Mantis that have been partners to do this for who knows how long, right? But what I do know, or at least I've been told, is that we will be the first race to ever free ourselves from the Draconians and the Mantis. So, this declaration of independence for the galactic races that are enslaved, they represent all of the other planets that have been taken over by this same group that they enslaved and brought here to serve their bidding and build their tech and do all these things for them, right? They enslaved them and brought them here, and they've lived here for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so to celebrate that freedom, it's really a universal Independence Day, where you have the entire galaxy, the entire universe is in, or at least should be, represented in a celebratory mode, right? Because this is the time of that freedom. And the only thing left, really, is all the galactics have agreed on this, right? Either the Draconians, whoever we thought was the villain, right? They've all signed off and agreed. They've all said, no, we're working towards peace. We see it. This time is over. Humanity made the progress they needed to maintain our existence. Now we're all here. So the only thing in the way are the slaves who were told that they were better than the rest of us. So they waged this war between us, which to other galactics is ridiculous.
Right.
It's like you're a gazelle and you're being hunted by lions, and meanwhile you're fighting with the other gazelles about who gets to lead the pack. And while you do that, the whole pack's standing around and lions are surrounding you, ready to devour you.
Right.
So there's that.
Well,
I find all that's fascinating.
Yeah, I saw the word compared to the gazelles before, but okay.
I don't know. I'll work on the examples. Work on it.
But that's all right. Yeah. Well, okay. Let's see. Anything else that on the agenda here? Since we've got this peace treaty, this intergalactic peace treaty now that we have to deal with, and show that we're now going to be able to, govern ourselves and be, kind to one another, not be the gazelles that are fighting over who's going to control the pack.
Well, I think that personally, I've thought about this night and day for the past 6 years, and my understanding just constantly has to, reserve space to be wrong and to expand, right?
Right.
And I've always felt that I was going to be part of the transition team, right? So we're walking into transition. Now, in the transition, you got to think there's some things that a lot of us are going to have to be conscious of that may exist in us and that we might have to fight a little bit, right? Or at least integrate. Like, for example, the fact that we've been suppressed for so long, and many people much, much longer, than me or you, right? Been doing this for 20, 30 years, getting beat up in so many different ways. There could be some, negative feelings there, right? About, I told you I was right? After all this time, I told you I was right. There could be some feelings that we got to kind of work through there, right, to do this. And one of the things I think is really important to realize is if you look at this like a gas gauge, right, or like a meter, and say the meter goes from 0, on the side where it'd be empty, over to the right where it'd be full, would be 100. And you got somebody at like a 20, right, on the meter. Now the goal is not to take that person from 20 to 100 overnight, right? The goal is to take that person from a 20 to like a 25, right? And just allow people to come out of this in their own time. Because this is shocking. And most people are not aware. Even though people are very, very receptive right now, right? They're waking up and realizing something's not right and they're looking for it.
Right.
I really think that we all have to, we don't have to, but I would encourage it, I'll put it that way. I think we all benefit from taking responsibility for one another. I think that's something that we would all do well to consider that, if you know something, it's like a kid that is, might not be your kid, right? And the kid's running at a hot iron, right, to give it a hug, right? You'd have the decency to stop the kid, right? You'd say, wait, it's hot. You might even take a second to look, it's hot, look, ouch, right? And you explain to them, right? Because they're a little kid. Because that's what you do, right? That's what it means to be human, right? We naturally look out and care for one another. It's just part of the human experience. Now, if we're going to be responsible for the entire planet, that has to include each other, right? And there's parts of this that have the potential to be very frustrating, right? And we've been on trial, right? We've been going through this experience where we've been frustrated to no end as we're talking to people like, are you kidding me? How can you not see this? It's so obvious, right? And now it's coming out. And now there's all the things that we've been talking about, all these crazy conspiracy theories. They're all coming out and proving to be true. And part of our natural instinct is to be like, I told you so. Look, here it is. They're all animals. But to a lot of people who believe in the kindness and the goodness of humanity, right? And they believe that the government is good and police are all trying to protect you, and they have that. This is culture shock, right? It's terrifying. Who do you call? What do you do? Everyone's bad. So I just think it's important for us to be considerate of that, because I really feel strongly we are stepping through that door right now. Matter of fact, I think we're on the inside of that door, or the outside, whatever it is. We're on the other side of that door right now. We're already there. And I think for those who, have had the inclination and the inspiration to somehow siphon through all of the alternative media and all the different gurus who say that I'm crazy and, and all the scam reports, and they've somehow found the connection with us, I think that responsibility to kindly and gently and powerfully, all at the same time, foster this change and support this movement, I think that all of us will do well to embrace an attitude of responsibility, as a teacher, right? The term doctor means teacher. And a doctor has an obligation. So does a teacher, by the way. They have an obligation, right? They're mandatory reporters, right? And a doctor, if he can help, he's obligated to do so. And I think that's important for us to look at, these next steps the same way. And I don't want to say that we have to, but I would say that we get to, right? We get to teach. We get to be gentle. We get to, help the world and change the world. We get to put our signature on things and assist it. So I just think it's important that we all collectively agree that that's part of the job, that we have earned the right to take care of the planet and take care of our fellow human being, and create a better world. You know.
Yep. In agreement. This is definitely something we're right at that gate, and I think we already stepped through, but it's the not being able to see clearly because we just came into the light, right? Our eyes are squinting, right? We're not exactly sure what's there, and we just got to bring it into focus and make it clear to us. So. I want to also point out. I just grabbed the video link that I was telling you about the Anunnaki bloodlines and that from Gerald Clark. I think I said David Clark, but it's Gerald Clark. And I posted it in the description down below of this video and also in the chat room, so people will know what I was talking about. Because I think I haven't. Got one video. This is a little long. It's 2 hours, but to us, we do 2 hours pretty easy. And but it does bring all of it into perspective of all the old names. Someone who's actually gone down, traced all the names, traced the lineages, and wrote books about it, and even sells a vinyl big map of the trees of like everything, so that you can. Also, because I was thinking that would have been good.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'd like to get that map.
Yeah, and so I just sent you the the name. I realized some sent you in Telegram also.
Thank you.
So you have it, but yeah, and but it also goes into the genetics. It goes into the chakras. It goes into why did Enki create it this way. And from his standpoint, again, not knowing anything about Mana World Holding Trust or anything, it all just lines up and seems like it's all the story, and he just doesn't have this end piece. This this last 5 years or so, or what is it? No, since 2008, 11 years since 2008, or is it 2007? When did she actually start working with Marduk?
2012 when she was put into position.
But did she start working with them before that?
No. I think 2011. I think they started talking to her.
Okay.
And I think Marduk had showed up in her life when she was a little girl even, and then later when she was like 18, but it wasn't time. So she had an idea that something was going to change, but she didn't really know until she took her role like 2011. I mean, she went out to Russia to actually put her claim on the her family's right to her lineage from Alexander.
Was from Alexander, but not from Romanov. Right.
What's that?
It was under Alexander. Was that Romanov?
Yes, I think so. Excuse my ignorance on that. Sometimes I should really go listen to With Russia, From Russia with Love by Thomas, I guess. Yeah. One of the 6 series that he has out there on that. I still just haven't got around to doing that. But
yeah, those are really good.
I know she's she technically Kim is the bloodline czar of Russia.
Yeah, that's the Romanov line.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So yes.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. So anyway, we've got a lot of things going on to see that we're on the right track with things. So what are we going to do over this next week? Since this is the day. Well, for me it's the 21st. So this is September 21st. The day that this goes into effect, the peace treaty is that, I guess, the right way of phrasing it. What's today, or your tomorrow?
Well, I mean, for me it's 20th, so tomorrow for me, but yeah, 21st, I believe it goes into effect.
And so it's the peace treaty, and that basically means they all have to stand down.
Well, I know the peace treaty is already enacted. So they've been telling them. I mean, they had their, whatever it was, their G7 meeting. They were told there, right? They were just told again. And they keep telling them, right? And I just kind of picture them like, somebody who just really can't believe what they're being told. It's like they're being told to come up with a new plan, right? Like the Rothschilds and the Chinese elders are supposed to bring down all this money. Everybody's been waiting for it. The Rothschilds turned back to them and said, look, we don't have a plan. You got to come up with something, right? So, and then that was confirmed by the, I don't know, by the Draconian Queen, which I think is, I just think that's Kim, to be honest, that they're referring to, because based on the letter. Because, it's kind of like when the Pentagon was, pulling together the money to, put a contract out on Kim's life, right? They went into the system, where they would register the hit, right? According to the way that the order works, right? They would put that information in to let the who they thought was the Rothschilds at the top, to let them know, hey, we need this money cleared so we can clear the bounty to have Kim Gogan killed. And then it was Kim herself who responded. It's like, this is Kim, right? And that was like their first, a big revelation for them, realizing, oh my gosh, she really is in control of the system, right? And they've worked with her ever since. So I think it's the same, personally, it's my personal opinion on this, that, that when these guys they're all looking for leadership, right, at this meeting just recently, this past weekend, the Harvest Moon, right? And they're looking for guidance from their God, and their God is money, and the devil, and whatever else, and I think they got instructions from the Draconian Queen, whoever that may be. They basically said, hey, stand down. We are not going to destroy the world. That plan is off the table, and now you have to come up with a new plan. That's what I was told. Anyways.
That's good.
So what are we doing? So, you know what? I think it's very telling that Tui, went from Tui talks a lot to Tui's missing in action, right?
Yeah,
Tui's holding back because he's working on something significant, I'm sure. That is, and from the little I know, that's true. And so I think that he's been out of the picture for a while is really just indicative of him building up to something as well. I think that we're there.
Yeah, he is okay. I mean, I've been, chatting with him, kind of taunting him a little bit, saying, where is the money here? And especially, since I'm in need, and I don't, I wish I didn't have to still ask for donations. I did receive 125 yesterday. Thanks everyone who participated, and thanks for everyone who's even giving a sympathetic ear to the plight. But I still need to get another, really about 200 together for Monday. But that's anything small donations is helpful. So a lot of small donations, they add up. So it doesn't have big. But one gave 100 yesterday, so that was a very generous thank you. So please, the information is down below in the description and also in the chat room to contribute. So thanks. It's a little. I got off track because now I start thinking about the things I gotta get. When I'm talking with you about these other things, I'm not thinking about, the other things that are pressing, at the moment. So I'm glad to do these broadcasts, and at least I know that I can keep doing that because electricity got paid and the Wi-Fi got paid, and I do know that things are looking brighter from the growth in this new business venture that I'm working on, cloud token. And I put that information down below in case people are interested, even though it's in cryptocurrency.
Right.
You know. So which I find is kind of interesting. That I was thrown out of the banking world, right, and I was forced to be in cryptocurrency, and now it's the only way that I've been able to do anything in the world, right, in the last 5 years. So it's kind of interesting.
That's a good point. I don't think many people appreciate that, actually. Like they just shut you down, right? It's just closed you out of things.
Oh yeah, I had several businesses running, and all offices, got these letters from the banks all at the same time. Different banks too. It was kind of very interesting, coordinated effort.
It's like they're connected.
It's like they're connected, like someone threw a switch. Just like when I was talking with the Swiss Indo, did these interviews with Swiss Indo. I mean, that's my involvement with Swiss Indo. I just reported on what they were doing. And people said, "Oh, you're a scammer." I said, "What is the scam? They didn't ask anyone for money. Whether or not you believe them or not, right? They weren't asking anyone for money. They were just saying, we're going to pay the world debt." That's a scam.
You know what? I got to tell you too. In that vein, I guess somebody went on Ken Dunn's show and asked if Tank was real, right? And now Ken Dunn and I used to talk. As a person, he's a nice enough guy. But so he said that I got wrapped up with Kim, and he and I don't talk anymore, obviously. But I got wrapped up with Kim, and he said that Interpol has a case there on Kim, right? Now, Ken has some pretty good NSA contacts, and like the Texas Gold Reserve and stuff like that. And I guess he's, I don't know, some faction of Palladian or something. But here's the reality. We've already addressed this issue, right? Kim does not have any investigation on it. There is a fake Kim. There's a body double that is being used by the Kingdom of Mana. And they have used this body double to try to deceive people and countries and private donors into giving them money up front. Now, Kimberly Ann Gogan, the actual trustee for the Mana World Holding Trust, has never asked anyone for a single dime for any of this, not once. So if you see that, the people are requiring that has nothing to do with Kim at all, right? And I got accused of the same thing. And again, that is not true. We do not. If you want to submit a project, you can email us directly. You can go to Go Camelot. The email's there. Yeah, you sign up as a member, so we can track your information. So we know how to get back to you, right? So when there's updates, but you can submit your project there. We also, we made arrangements to give people a very solid trust agreement, and that has nothing to do with us directly, though. That's just, we just made that available for people to do them a favor to help them out so people would have trust. But we don't make any money off that at all.
And I'll just say that anything that I've been asking for help and donations has nothing to do with Tank and nothing to do with Speak Project or Go Camelot or Kim. My only connection to Tank is the energetic wanting to move forward and creating a new abundant space world, and nothing that I'm doing has to do with them and on that front. So, but I appreciate that he's on and didn't tell me not to ask while he's on. But
no, I appreciate all that you have done for the movement. If you didn't do what you did, Dan, I wouldn't have. The Speak Project would not be putting out the value and quality of videos and information that we're putting out. We wouldn't be drawing in these incredible people from all over the world. We wouldn't have done this because I didn't think we were ready. But by doing a show with you every day for a while, I started to realize, okay, my team started to say, hey, we got to start. This is just a jump off. So,
get on the train. The train has already left the station.
Right. So, my opinion. Now, I operate like a pauper. I'm pretty much, penniless. I rely almost solely on faith with everything to survive. From time to time, people are kind enough to, to just kind of send me money, which I could have survived all this. I couldn't have done this without them. And I don't thank them publicly by name because I don't want to make them a target. But I'm very grateful because it's made it possible to at least help us contribute to changing the world in a positive way. And you know what? And this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life because you can't rely on anything, right? When you put yourself out there and make yourself a target, for everyone, right? And then you keep defying what everyone else is saying. What you're saying is the truth, and what's actually in the best good for everybody. They don't make it easy.
Right.
They don't make it easy to make money, receive money, to send money. I've had my life savings was drained out. They made me unemployable by running a smear campaign on me, and it's still, despite the fact that I've done thousands of interviews and videos, and my message never changes. I never once ask anybody for anything, right? I still, the first thing that pops up is some, scam thing, right, on me, and it's amazing, and a long time ago, I accepted that I'm not going to look good to a lot of people. But what I always tell people is I said, you go listen to any one of the 1,000 interviews, videos, articles I've written, anything, and tell me I'm a scam. Because I have been offered many things during this, many things. And I have never once even come close to biting on anything.
Yeah.
Not once.
I could have, just said, traditional way, right? Oh, well, I got to go do something else. Let me go. I'm very capable person here in the Philippines. There's a lot of foreign companies here. If I put myself out there and just floated my resume, right, I'd have job offers, to run major corporations here, like within a week, I'd get, I wouldn't have any issues, but if I go do that, then I'm not doing this, and I think this is where what is more important than money. Though at times money seems to rise in importance at certain times, where it's like you get down to where there's you're not able to buy food or pay your basic bills. Then it's but this is obviously also a learning experience. A lot of the stuff that I take on, I've had a lot of money in my past several times and have it dissipate and go other places. That business dissolves or whatever, and but always go and start something else. But I pick up things like, well, what's the importance of water? I live in a place. It's beautiful. I mean, but the rent is really low because there's no water here. But I'm an engineer, so I just engineered my water. I collect it from the sky, but I know how much toilets use. I'm aware of my water usage, like I wouldn't have been, if I just was, as normal. I never looked at how much water I was using, and flush the toilet. That's the doing laundry. How much water does it take to do laundry? And then if you're noticing and you're comparing to what's coming in, from the sky, right? You get aware of how important water is. So there's lessons to learn. No matter how smart you are or how wise you are in something, there's always something else to learn and pick up and work with. So, everything I'm doing, I know, is always a learning experience for something else that's coming. And that's because I'm not afraid to go and do something like not make money.
It's funny. You're right. That's a big, to just kind of come off the grid, and in a big way. And it's funny. I live in New York City, right? So you can't really. It's not like I'm farming out here. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not an option.
Living off
right?
the land.
No, it's very, very humbling all the time. Because I always made decent money and had a very professional career, and I had my master's degree, and would be a leader in sales and everything else I did. But at the end of the day, it's this process. I've never in my life felt like I knew exactly what I was doing, why I was doing it, and that I didn't want to do anything else. Being part of changing the world, being able to contribute in that way. Like right now, where it does get to be a little bit frustrating is, like when we had this gentleman John call us the other day, right? Now, here we represent the funding source for the world, right? Who she wouldn't bat an eyelash funding everything John needs to bring that product out in a way that is lawful and in harmony with things, right? But the challenge, is we were talking about this, like, how do we move forward? Because we've really made a commitment. Because none of my team is absolutely amazing. I mean, my whole team, they are all just so dedicated. They have kids, they have full-time lives, they have grandbabies on the way and stuff like that, right? And and they have real deaths in their family, real hardship, and real obstacles they have to overcome. And I'll tell you something, you would never know. You would never know. My team is the epitome of class under pressure. They all have problems. They all have things that are going on. And my team is tight. Like, it's not like we're just a business relationship. Like, we're family, right? But even in that, everybody knows when we're doing business, that's not the time to bring in your domestic problem, right? That's not the time to talk about it. So everybody stays focused on the task at hand. And what I love about my team, I could ask them to do anything, and they will never tell me we can't. All they tell me is we'll find a way. Now I'm telling you what, in the qualities I look for in project owners and people, I'm not looking for people to say, I want to conform to their system. We have to do it this way. We can't do this. I'm not looking for that. I don't want to conform to their system. I want to change it. And I'm looking for people that have the courage to do that. And then when we talk about doing something impossible, they don't tell me that's impossible. They just say, okay, we'll figure it out. That to me is that's why all this is worth it. That's why I can't ever complain. Because these people follow me down the same path, and I've got them all in the same jacked up situation I'm in. But the reality is, the end of this, it's worth it. Yeah. Right? The final goal of what we are able to do, it's not that we have to, we get to. We are privileged and allowed. I mean, if you're listening to this call now or in the future, I'm telling you, this is the movement you want to be part of. This is bigger than Q. This is bigger than all the other alternative things going out there. The reality is that the transition of power is right here. And the real transition of power, right? Right. Thomas talks about the speaker, the People's Club there, right? That's another group directly involved. These are movements that are here to change the world, right? And we get to do that. So we don't have time to bicker about things that don't matter. You know what, Dan? I know we got to get off, but I want to read you something here quick.
Okay.
Anybody who's been following me for a while, right, knows that I've gone from a very, in the past 4 or 5 years, gone from a kind of a very strict religious, lifestyle, right? Like where, my religion was everything. I was a minister. I traveled all over the world. All over the country. I would speak all over the country, and I never accepted a dime for preaching the gospel, right? In my life. And but in that, anybody who's followed my progress, you realize that this stuff is new to me all the time, right? It's always new. So I'm always humbled by that because it's so incredible to me, the things that I am learning and experiencing about myself spiritually and energetically in the world, and our connection, our direct connection to God and all those who are around us, right? So this week on Monday, remember the 16-year-old young man who lived next door to me got stabbed and killed, right? And so on like Wednesday, right, I started, well, the only way I can describe it, right? Now, this has happened to me one other time, but in this case, this young man started talking to me. And, he was showing me things and trying to communicate with me. And I guess I could have probably turned it off, but I couldn't. I was receptive. I kind of opened myself up to it just to listen to see what he wanted, right? So he asked me to give his mom a message, right? And I was trying to understand what he was saying because a lot of those images. And then so I started typing, and then he would kind of let me know, if it was right or wrong and whatever, right? So and then he showed me this image that he wanted me to put with the picture because he was an artist. So I'm going to read that letter real quick, if that's okay, and then we'll, if you don't mind. So, all right, so it goes like this. My name is Kassim, at least it was when I was in the body. Kassim means divided. My untimely exit from this third dimension seems to embody that very idea. Humanity is divided. We fight over issues that don't matter without hardly taking the time to appreciate all the things that do. My life mattered, but I know that most people will remember me for the way I died. Now, on the other side, I can see that this was part of my soul contract, ironically described as a, quote, lesson about life. And if you're reading this, that lesson is for you. The world is always speaking to us. From the trees reaching up to the heavens, the sky giving a home to the clouds and the stars, to the squirrels stealing the scraps from our table, and the ducks leaving their mark on the docks like some kind of graffiti gang, marking their territory, the world is always trying to get through to us. In my time on Earth, I actually listened. I was lucky. My family made me feel loved, safe, and strong. I was an artist, and I could see what most people were too busy to notice. This gave me a certain amount of freedom that many don't have. There's nothing more important to a creative soul than freedom. And that's what most of you are missing. You don't realize that you're a creator too. Because if you did, we wouldn't be divided, and we could all be free. Humanity is powerful, both as a collective and in the individual. We agree to create our reality, and from nothing comes everything. We are an expression of love, the product of unity, and the inspiration to the galaxy. In my name is a message that if I shared when I was live with you, you probably wouldn't have cared enough to listen. If it doesn't show up on your Snapchat, Instagram, or Facebook, you might not even care now. But our names matter, and our life gives them meaning beyond anyone else's definition. Ka means soul or spirit. Sim is short for simulation, a false appearance, assumption, or imitation of something real. My last name is Morris. The words sometimes have to play rearranged to understand what the universe wants us to know. So consider that my name translates to a message about your life and everyone else who reads this in the future. Kassim, together, means a simulation or the false appearance of the soul or spirit of a person. Now, many of us know when we spend a lifetime creating a false image. Then we protect it so that no one finds out who we really are. Now, instead of Morris, it's is more. My name, Kassim Morris, holds a message that's important for you to understand. Don't wait for someone to die to realize that your life is more than just the false appearance of your true self or soul. Life is a gift, and the best way to show you appreciate it is to find out what it has to offer. Put it to use. then find out what you have to offer to the world of yours. Don't be afraid to be amazing. Embrace the powerful version of yourself that you've been hiding to try and fit in with people that you don't even care about. Death is an illusion. The most important thing is to realize that your life doesn't have to be. You're exceptional. Never act average just to make someone else feel comfortable. Make your life matter and give others the courage to do the same. So that was the message that he shared with me. So and then there was a picture that he had me draw right on top of the text actually. And I did that obediently because I honestly I couldn't sleep because he kept hounding me. And so I went over to his family today to have a conversation about it. Right, it was very awkward. Right, like how do you do this? And I didn't know how they received it because I thought, right. But I read it aloud, and because he wanted me to do that for his mom. Mm-hmm. So I saw the sister, and I asked her if she could get her mom, and I told her, I said, look, I have a message from Gussie, and I want you to know I'm not crazy. So I don't do this all the time. I've never done this before, but there's something that he wants me to read to your mom, and I want to give your family. So I framed up their picture, and she came out, and the whole family came out. 4 sisters, a father and mother. And I read the whole thing. So, it's amazing how many things that they, were just inside family secrets. Like their last name being Morris.
Right.
But they would always say, but it is more. Always talking about the squirrels and the ducks and these things. So it was the right decision. But, it was something that was very difficult and awkward to kind of, for me to kind of say and do. But I think it's important. I thought the message was really powerful. And a lot of the stuff that he was saying, I was like, this is probably why I was able to connect with him, right? Or he's able to connect with me. Because we had a similar, belief system, right? We were vibrating at the same frequency.
Right.
So, I don't know. So I'm just putting that out there just as a, I don't know, I just like to be transparent.
No, I really appreciate it. And also, what I'm hearing when I'm talking, I'm remembering. Me and you have some very similar life experiences, and we're syncing up on a lot of things. I have a very similar type of, I said spiritual event with someone who had recently departed, and for me to pass a message on to the family. And
that's interesting.
And it was, I guess I could tell it right now. I've said it before, but not on our programs. In my past, I have brought up this story. I was very heavy into yoga for many years, about 7 years straight. Right, always at least 7 always pops up, right? And towards the end of that 7 years. I was also playing chess with people that I knew, and there was some. There's a church in LA that people were trying to get me to involve with, and I'm always open to looking at. One guy who was a trainer, a body trainer, at a gym, and he said, "Hey, I got a break here between clients. Can you come down and play some chess?" I said, "Sure, yeah, let's play." So it was kind of out of the blue, right? I went there, and it's the first time I've been at that gym, and so we played our game of chess, and after we were done, there started to be like a lot of commotion going on inside the gym, and we're kind of like in the little cafeteria area, in the coffee shop area, and so we went out and said what's going on, and apparently that someone had died. And I couldn't see anybody, and because of the crowd, everyone was there was blocking the way. All right, but while I'm just sitting, hanging out, waiting to let this crowd die down, and everything, I got overwhelming feeling that came into me, and it said, "I'm okay." And that was what it was, right? And I said, that's very odd, right? What is this?
Right, yeah.
I'm okay, right? And I said, all right, I'm okay. As I knew that it was not something that was like someone whispering, or this was like a wave of energy and it was like it meant something, and I took notice, and I was all very much into hearing and taking notice of things, but the next morning I went to a very early morning yoga class, like 5 a.m. with who I would call my kick butt instructor, her name Anna Sawara, and this is in Santa Monica,
Right.
Santa Monica, California. And she would always, kick my butt, and everyone's, you're going to be sweating throughout this entire process. So we did the whole yoga session, and the energy was definitely much more muted, right, than it traditionally had been. And we go into the relaxing poses at the very end, and then we kind of sit. And there was usually there's 30 people in this class. There was 7, right? Also, so very unusual. And so at this very end, she starts to in the front of the class, she just starts to cry. And so I went up, and I put my arms around her, and everyone else did too. And we're saying, "What's going on?" And she said her father died, and that's what I knew. That was it. It was her father that died. And I said to her, "Did he die in this?
He's okay.
In this gym?" And she looked at me. She said, "Yeah, that I was there, and he wants you to know that he's okay."
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I only have a handful of these kind of experiences in my life. That I keep. That makes me know what's bigger. What really is going on.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And this is really, I always, had that was actually also the last time I ever saw Anna Sawara, so I'm sure she is good, but interesting enough that I was, after that, I don't even think I went back to yoga after that, just thinking about it.
Wow.
Not that I didn't do yoga at home, and I still do yoga very sparingly. It seems like it's I was like, I should do more, but
Yeah. So sometimes you're in a place just to build up for a certain time, and then you fulfill the reason why you're there. It's time to move on.
Yeah, it was 7 years.
Amazing.
I look back, there's a lot of 7-year passages of things that I was doing, even though they overlap. A lot of these 7-year things that I do something for 7 years. So
7-year cycle. Your body regenerates every cell in your body every 7 years.
Yeah. Every
atom in your body regenerates every year, but 7-year cycles are pretty common. So we have some days in the week.
Yeah. So anyway, that's so I appreciate what you've gone through. I feel so. I find it always interesting. We have this overlap of things that are in our lives that are very we synchronize on these things. So.
No, man, I'm grateful because all the world, you were the only person to step up to give me a platform and give us a chance to really. I mean, other people, as long as I was saying what they wanted, I guess they gave me a platform. But I appreciate that you jumped ship. So, and we both jumped ship, right? Yeah. I mean, luckily the ship was going over a waterfall, so it was the right move. But
yeah, just telling everyone, hey, this is going the wrong way. Don't get job.
Yeah. Right. So funny.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Well, again, we're good.
I think that caps it up.
Yeah, we're doing good. We just keep it going, and I'm looking forward to next week, and for a lot of reasons. So, this transition.
Well, I don't know. I would encourage everybody to just be present in this moment and just do all you can in this moment to allow yourself to just be, filled with all the excitement and nostalgia and joy and the peace that you, as if it is already done. Because I would tell you the truth, it really is already done. The money and all the assets, they've already been, all the work has been done. Everything's here. There's a viable system that's here. Humanity has been empowered. We are literally at the day of where all the galactics saw fit to say, this is our day, this declaration of our independence. And you know what? That's something that Kim has been working on with all of them. And she represents all of us. So I am very grateful to the work that she has done. I am grateful that she has allowed us to be a part of it. And I'm grateful to whatever role the galactics play. And I'd love to learn more about that too. But I feel overwhelmed with a sense of just appreciation. And I would, even if your situation is bleak, and you're living below the poverty line, believe me, I know you can still be happy because I do the same thing. And obviously, Dan understands it too, even now. But I'll tell you, I don't feel impoverished at all. Matter of fact, I feel powerful. I feel very abundant. I feel wealthy. I am grateful that we have all this incredible, unlimited possibility that we actually get to bring in the world. So, Dan, that's all I got, man. You have a great night. And everybody, peace out from New York.
All right. Thank you, Tank. And remember, everyone, to subscribe, share, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Actually, we got a lot of thumbs up on this one already. I think we're at close to, I think it was 89. So I can check it out. But that's pretty good. And positive comments, And again, I'm appreciative of any donations to get over this latest hump, and hopefully I'm done with all this. After another week or two, I think I'll be out of the woods. But thank you all for what you've done. Highly appreciated, and namaste. Back to my
namaste. All right.
Bye bye.